Guardians continue to be red hot, just coming off a 3-game sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays. Currently, big series with the Orioles in Baltimore. Currently leading 3-2 in the top of the seventh after a Jose Ramirez solo home run. So Tanner Bybee looks like he settled down a bit. Got off to a rough start there, but there's some pretty good storylines. One of them is Stephen Kwan, who's flirting with 400, something no player has done in a very long time. He's currently sitting at 389. Obviously, that's a tough feat, but he's getting close to qualifying for the American League batting lead, which he will have by far once he does. And this is a guy that's going to be up for an extension here shortly that they're going to have to wrap up. And the way he's playing, I mean, it's going to cost some money. And, we know with our ownership that tends to be a problem. So what are your guys' thoughts on Mr. Kwan? Joey, you can go ahead and start it off.
I want to, before today, I was just, this is before today. Jose, 19 home runs, 67 RBIs, hitting 273 on the season. He's also got 67 runs. One of the best players in baseball. And if he doesn't get a statue, I will petition and potentially riot if I need to, because more than anyone, I think that's who deserves a statue in Cleveland. Someone who wanted to be here and has consistently been a top player. He's the captain, and he's the captain of the team. There's no questions about it. But Stephen Kwan is a player that you look at, the leadoff hitter, and he's even when he's been in slumps, he still it always seems like he's a guy who's gonna get on base, or a guy who does get on base. And this season, even with the month he was out with an injury, he's hitting 390. He's got 7 home runs. He's got 23 RBIs. He's got 46 runs, which is second or third on the team, behind Jose and Josh Naylor. And you're talking about those guys who have, 19 and 20, or now 20 and 20 home runs, each having 20. That's, and on top of that, he's a hell of a fielder. I mean, for someone like that, and if he ends the season hitting 355, that's a guy that you're going to need. I mean, he's on pace right now for over 20 home runs, for 75 RBIs, 100 and close to 150 runs. That's the type of person you want leading off every single night that you play the game. So I'm hoping that ownership recognizes that this is as much of a baseball town as it ever was. And especially with the fans showing up every single night, it seems like every night we're hearing about sellouts or almost sellouts. We are proud of the Guardians. We love the Guardians. And I don't want this to get to a point where this is almost less about Kwan and more about you find these players who are cornerstone pieces of your team who you can build around to be a championship contender. You need to pay them. And when the fans show up, when we are spending our hard-earned money to go to the games, to buy jerseys, to buy hats, there's so much Guardians apparel in my household. I want to see that reinvested in the team, not lining the owner's pocket. Now, I understand the owner's got to make money, but we're also, we're making the team more valuable too, because we're investing in the team too. And you got to keep those players. And another player that we should talk about too is Naylor, because at some point Naylor's going to need to get paid. And the way he's playing this year, right now, again, 20 homers, 58 RBIs, 50 RBIs and 58 runs, hitting just shy of 250. I mean, those are guys you build around. If he hits 40 homers, you don't let a 40 home run guy go. You don't let a 350 hitter go. You got to find out. You got to suck it up and find a way to pay some of these guys.
I mean, the power. That's one thing that this team has lacked the last couple of years. And coming in tonight, they've hit 12 home runs in the last 5 games, which is pretty incredible for them. Derek, what are your thoughts?
A lot of what Joey said. He he's an old school player, and I think that's why a lot of traditional baseball fans love him. Um, in an era where everyone's trying just to hit home runs or throw 100 miles per hour, he's out there, smacking doubles, just trying to get on base, playing solid left field, and doing it quietly. I didn't get to read the whole article, but caught bits and pieces of Zach Meisel posted a nice piece on Kwan and how, growing up he'd play pinball for hours at, I think it was his grandma's or an aunt's house, and that taught him hand-eye coordination and how he's able to get turned on some of these inside pitches that may be a little off the plate, but he credits it to having shorter arms than some guys, so he can get his wrists through the ball, and he's hitting them, down the line, and had that home run that hit off the foul pole, and he's had doubles, and he's doing everything that you want. And as we talk extension, I know we all think Jose may have been the last guy to ever give a home hometown discount or what have you, but Juan kind of strikes me as a guy that isn't going to hold out for an extra 10 or 15 million. And, I don't know him personally, obviously, but just everything that you read about him, hear about him, what you see on TV, how he carries himself, I think if they approach him with a respectable offer, I think that it's it's something that will get done. And with Naylor, he had that injury, but he's definitely bounced back. Um, just as good, if not better, than he was prior to the injury. But yeah, it kind of goes back to this kind of log jam that we had in the middle infield, and now we're kind of getting it in some of the corner spots too. Noel, Manzardo. If you re-up Naylor, do you move one of those for a different position? But that's a discussion for a different night. But yeah, just loving watching the Guardians. Baseball is one of those sports that a lot of times it's hard to sit there and watch 150, 160 games on TV or what have you. But when they're as hot as they are right now, and you you feel the energy, whether it's Tom Hamilton calling it on the radio or what you're seeing on TV and what Underwood and Rick Manning are saying as they're calling the game. Even if you're not at the corner of Carnegie in Ontario, you still feel this excitement for Guardians baseball, and it's been a while. Honestly, we've had some playoff contending teams, but there's something about this year, this youthfulness meeting, production that's they're what 20 some odd games over 500 and playing
20,
great
23,
ball.
I think.
23. Okay, I knew it was somewhere in
I,
the 20s,
I
but
think I'm 100%.
yeah, but I was talking to someone today that have only lost like 9 games at home, and the next best team for home record has lost like 15 or so. So that's 2 full series of wins that other teams don't have, and that ties into, like Joey was saying, fans are going out and packing the stadium. Even if it's not a complete sellout, there's people sitting upstairs, and for so many years, how many times did they not even open up the 400 and 500 sections because they couldn't even sell out the bleachers. So it's great to see on all angles, and you do hope that ownership takes note of that and like Joey was saying, repurpose that money back into the team, re-up some of these guys, so it can be like the '90s where you had Tomey Lofton, Vizquel, Baerga, guys that you grew up knowing, that our kids are, you know, growing up and knowing, so they can have their favorite player play for their team more than just the 5 years of team control or what have you. Yeah, just keep going and yep.
Clarence, I know you said you don't usually pay too much attention until late in the season. They caught your attention a little earlier maybe than normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Only because one of the main things is that even historically, we know they don't spend money. They just don't do it. But the Guardians are always kind of like, they're always teetering around. They're overachieving a little bit, but they're kind of teetering around, just teasing you like, oh, they might be all right. It seems like this year they came out the gate just blowing up. So just that simple reason, it doesn't look like it's something that's going to be a fall off. So I think just for kind of that reason alone, it's still kind of that young farm system type team, but there is an excitement there. Like this is something that could be like, I don't ever want to become the farm system to the major leagues like we were, in the 90s where we were like too deep at every position and we couldn't hold everybody. I don't want to get back to that range, but it seems like they've put together a nice little young squad. I think they're the third smallest payroll in all of Major League Baseball, and they're 20 plus games over 500. Like they've definitely caught my attention a little bit more. Absolutely.
And that's the thing, there was a point in time where I kept saying, just thinking to myself, all right, I'm just, waiting for them to fall off, waiting for them to come down to reality. Them and the Royals were hot at the same time. And the Royals are the ones that have kind of come down to reality and fallen on their face now 9 games back. And that's the most impressive thing about the Guardians is they're avoiding those 4, 5, 6 game losing streaks.
Yep.
They lose maybe 1 or 2 in a row and, they're back at it. And it's just amazing. And with all the injuries to the pitching staff, we're losing Bieber for the season. Now, Tristan McKenzie hasn't been right all year. Logan Allen has been, not what he was last year. I mean, he has 8 wins, but his ERA is over 5. He's probably gotten the most run support of just about any pitcher in the American League. So, and they're doing it with guys like Ben Lively, who expected Ben Lively to contribute when we signed him. Because I sure didn't, and here he is 6-3, and pitching very well, and he's been one of the top pitchers for the team. And Tanner Bybee's turned it around now; he's pitching well again tonight. So it's been a collective effort, and like you said, hopefully Dolan, Antonetti Chernoff, they're going to see this, and with the bump in attendance, that's bringing in extra revenue. They're going to go out, and they have proven in the past when the Guardians have been in this position, they've gone out and they've gotten players. Just like 2016 was the prime example. Go out and get Andrew Miller, and we know how dominant he was out of that bullpen. He was untouchable in the playoffs and the World Series. So it gives me hope that they're going to do it again, and they see the excitement around the team, and not only is it a letdown for the fans when you don't do anything when you're in this position, but what does that tell the locker room as well? When they see all these other contending teams going on making additions to make that push, and your guys don't do it. So I think it's just as big for the locker room as it is for the fan base.
Am I the only one that only heard like a fourth of that?
I heard it all.
You heard it all. Okay, good. Must be my cell phone connection.
Are you drinking again?
Yeah.
I could only hear. Yeah, I must be on that Dean Samples connection then. It sounded like a robot for like 3/4 of that. I was like, oh God, I hope that's not in the show.
Don't get that Dean net.
Yeah, the Dean internet is, man. Some days it's amazing, and other days you're like, you know what? I'm gonna do the damn show by myself.
Some good news on the injury front. Gavin Williams made his 4th rehab start this past Saturday in Akron. We had our own James Ellifritz and Tavin McCauley. They're covering it. Got to interview him after the game and talk to him a bit. And he's set to make, hopefully, his final rehab start this Wednesday in Columbus. He looked really good Saturday in Akron. Hopefully he comes out gets another good outing and is able to rejoin Cleveland at some point next week. So some good news there. Clarence is sideways.
You didn't know Clarence is Spider-Man? That's crazy. I thought I was the only one. I think, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, because I love him as a player, and I think he's an amazing human being. But I think Carlos Carrasco, I think that when Gavin comes back, it's time. I mean, and we've won games with Cookie starting, but it's we got to put up 8 or 9 runs, and we do. It seems like every start he has is the start. His stat line is 5 or 6 hits, 5 runs, 5 earned, 5 strikeouts, 5 walks, and then somehow we win the game 9-6, and you're like, oh, okay, we won. So
he was really good in his last start. Of course, that's when you think, okay, this might be his last start. Then he comes out and looks as good as he has all year, and it makes you think, okay, maybe he's still got something. But maybe a bullpen role, long relief, maybe something along those lines could be in his future once Mr. Williams gets back.
I do think that we need to give a shout out though to David Fry, even though he's fell into a little bit of a slump. Still 8 home runs, 31 RBIs, 28 runs. And he's still hitting .310. I mean, he's been a guy that you can rely on this season. Like I said, he's been going through a little bit of a slump recently, but for 45 games, he's been someone that you were like, oh my gosh. And I think that once he gets out of the slump, he's going to be that guy again that you can rely on. And it's always nice when you're able to find that 4th or 5th guy in the lineup that when he comes up, you're like, okay, this guy on 2nd or guy on 3rd, and you're like, okay, this is going to be an RBI, So still got to give a shout out to David Fry. I don't want to say he's overachieving because he's a heck of a player and someone who can play every single position, which is really nice to have on the team.
Yeah.
But I still like seeing these younger guys come up. I want to see what they can do. Guys like Jonathan Rodriguez, Angel Martinez just got called up. We should be seeing John Kenzie Noel. And Noel is that guy. Noel is a guy, and I think I told the story before, but when I was covering him when he was at Lake County, he has the sound when he hits a home run. You can hear it, and you'll be able to hear it through the TV. You'll hear the crack of that bat, and you'll go, "That's out of here." And hopefully, as well as he's played in his career through the minors, that's going to translate to the major leagues because, man, he has all the potential in the world.
Well, it seems like the light may have finally clicked on for him because he's doing something he's never done before. He's got his average up over 300. He's not just hitting home runs. I mean, he's hitting a lot of home runs, but he's doing everything else, and he's cutting down on his strikeouts. So maybe that light's finally clicked, and he's only 22 years old, and he's moved up pretty fast through the system. But yeah, his potential is off the charts. And don't forget about the left-handed David Fry, Daniel Schneemann.
Yeah.
He's still hitting over 300. He's got another hit tonight, so he's another one of those late bloomers. Maybe like the way he plays though, and he can play all over the place. So another guy, valuable guy to have for sure.